I'm sure everybody is aware by now that lovely LA County has extended their non-eviction moratorium until January 31st of 2021. So as it sits right now, they've extended their no eviction moratorium in LA County until the end of January next year, when the same day the 25% of the rent is due from COVID. I know in the city of Los Angeles, we're currently seeing them closing non-essential businesses like restaurants and things like that. My opinion is I'm still letting people in, you guys forgive me. I know I'm late, it's my fault. I'm the one that was late, my bad. And here they all come. Sorry I'm late, you guys. It's my fault, you're not late, I am. Just want to talk about LA County's new moratorium. They did an extension of the no eviction moratorium. That was extended until January 31st, 2021, the same day the 25% of the rent is due on AB 3088 regarding the COVID Care Tenant Protection Act, whatever. 3088. What could I tell you guys? LA County is starting to close non-essential businesses. Hair salons, nail shops, restaurants are asking to close because COVID. We're seeing that the numbers jump, not only in that area, but across the nation. Looking at other countries, not just us. I know Italy went on lockdown more than once. China went on lockdown more than once. Yada, yada, yada. It's a matter of when, not if, and I'm being honest with you. For those of you that are concerned with another lockdown, most likely non-essential businesses would include the courts. So that would freeze everything that is going on as far as the court system goes. So we may have to utilize some cash for keys options and things like that. In the event that the shutdown does come, in my own opinion, just by looking, not at us here in the US, but looking at other countries and how it seems like they're getting it first and then it hits us, okay? I get it, it hits everybody differently, but I see the wave coming. But looking at them and other countries and what they're having to deal with, poor Italy has lost almost their entire senior community. So with that being said, am I saying the sky is falling? No, not at all. Be prepared though. I got a feeling that we're going to get locked down again. Nobody knows. I mean, I would rather prepare you guys for bracing for impact than have you get blindsided from left field and think we are almost in the clear with this. The way legislation's going, it kind of makes us feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But when we start looking at what's going on with COVID and how these numbers are ramping up and we're being hit with round 2, if you will, I foresee that they're going to lock us down again. It's just my opinion. I don't know anything that you don't know, okay? I'm trying to remain very optimistic, but I also try to function from a place of reality and not hopes and dreams, okay? Besides, if I can get everybody to prepare and brace for impact and that's not what happens, then all of a sudden it's like, yes! Everybody gets that little happy-go-lucky moment and makes everybody feel a little bit more confident. But I got a feeling that we will get locked down again. It's a matter of when, not if. And I'm very concerned for our homeowners, our investors, our mom and pops. Me, I'm one of them. For those of us that aren't getting the rent from our tenants and they're manipulating or, in fact, genuinely affected by COVID, I feel you. I'm one of you. It's not fun. It is what it is. I mean, it's going to be a race to see who's going to get who first, in my opinion. Is it going to be us getting to evict them, or is it going to be the bank getting to foreclose on us? It's going to be a race. If you can get that extension from your mortgage company for 6 months, a year, by all means do it. But know this, with AB 3088, if you receive that benefit from your lender where they basically took 6 months of payments as an example and put that on the end of your loan, so you have a 30-year and 6-month loan. By the way, they collect interest on all that. That's how they make money. You have to give that 6 months to the tenant. We can't even file an unlawful detainer action until your forbearance with your mortgage expires. Okay, everybody got that? So if you get a forbearance from your lender because of COVID, you then have to pass that forbearance time on to the tenant. So we can't even do an eviction until the forbearance expires. I see some questions coming in, so let me get to those. Excuse me, I'm not ill. I have allergies. I'm allergic to a few things. Bullets are one of them. Just playing, I'm just playing. Can we ask the tenants to pay their 25% monthly, or would we just have to wait until 1/31/21? Well, Jackie, here's the thing. If they say they were affected by COVID, then they don't even owe that money until January 31st. You can always ask them to pay it, but it doesn't mean they owe it. Asking them to pay and telling them what they owe, two different things. Just so everybody's on the same page, the 25% of all the rents from COVID is due on or before January 31st of next year. Please know that the other 75% is due the very next day on February 1st. I know I didn't make the law, but it's ridiculous. Chances of them passing a new law, an amendment to the law, etc., are extremely high. They'll probably do that on January 30th, extending that time that 75% is due. If we go back on lockdown, God only knows what's going to happen. I couldn't tell you, but I can imagine if it doesn't benefit homeowners and sound like BS, I'm sorry, I misspoke. If it doesn't benefit tenants and sound like BS to homeowners, it's probably not the law. It's probably not going to work. Is it a good practice to send out the notices if they just started not to pay? Absolutely. You need to document the money. As simply as I could say this, do your job. If they don't pay, serve them the 15-day notice, the disclosure, and that declaration. If they don't return the declaration to you, this is where we're going to have a conversation, because it kind of goes like this. If they don't return the declaration to you, you can turn around and serve them with a 3-day notice to quit and start the eviction process once allowed. Okay. And I say that because City of Los Angeles is not allowing evictions for non-payment of rent. They have a no eviction moratorium until January 31st of next year. You could do it in another city. However, if the tenant shows up in court and the judge asks them, were you affected by COVID? The chances of them saying yes are high. The word affected is a very broad term. We've all been affected. I had to wear face masks when I go out in public. I've had to purchase hand sanitizer, and I've had to fight for toilet paper. Okay. That being said, I've been affected. We've all been affected. Everybody's been affected. All they have to do is sign a paper saying they were affected. It doesn't matter if it was financially taking care of a sick person, being affected yourself. We've all been affected. Okay. It's a broad term, and it's a great way to instigate an argument in a court law. Who was affected more? Who was affected this? Who was affected that? Why bother? If everybody was affected, then it just makes it extremely difficult. What I'm trying to say to you guys, and work with me here, is if they get into court and they say, oh, we were affected by COVID, because we all have been, chances of the judge dismissing your case are high. In other words, if you file an eviction right now on non-payment of rent, I would say that it's a 50-50 shot that you will win and a 50-50 shot that you will lose. Case dismissed, go home. And that's all going to depend on whether the tenant shows up. Just saying, okay? So for me, in order to go to legal, it's got to be more than a 50-50 shot for me. I know a lot of people in the industry right now are going after cause. They're doing 24-hour notices, getting inside these units, seeing what other material breaches of the lease are going on, unauthorized modifications, unauthorized occupants, damage to the unit, cleanliness, etc. So if the money's not due yet, document it, but stop chasing it. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say. Document it, stop chasing it. Definitely need to document it. So when the time arises that we can go after the money, at least all our ducks are in a row and we did our job. Keeps it simple. So yes, please serve those 15-day notices. By all means, do your job. But I personally wouldn't go after somebody on non-payment of rent at this time because it's too risky for my blood. That's a 50-50 shot. I want better odds than that. I'm sorry. I don't like going to court if I don't have to. So I want to go when I have a lot more teeth in there. I want a 75-25. Okay, that's where I'm headed. I want those higher numbers. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the money on a 50-50 shot for me. It's too risky. It's like, put it all on red. No, change it to black. No, go back to red. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. So for me, it's got to have more teeth. Personally, to take the time and the effort and the expense to go through the legal process, I want to make sure I have more teeth. So I'm the one that's looking for material breaches of the lease. I'm the one that's doing 24-hour notices to inspect and building a case based on the drama, if you will, and not on the money. Am I documenting money? Absolutely. That way, when the time comes, all my ducks are in a row and I'm ready to rock and roll. Any more questions? Come on, you guys, pick my brain. Because all I have to tell you is, oh God, it's gonna get worse. I hear
Patty,
somebody.
Patty, this is Sarita. Hi,
Serena.
Patty. Hi, I emailed you a question about a tenant that claiming that there's mold when they just moved in a month ago. There's no mold. There was smoke. They had burning candles and did you see that email that I sent you or not?
No, I missed that email, but keep talking to me. Did you send out a restoration company?
Yes, they're doing an air test right now. I should have it
Okay.
back today. My question to you is, let's say the air sample comes back as negative, meaning no mold. We have photographs that we were in their apartment. They have candles burning and they burned that, people burn this thing to get the spirits out of a room. They roll up this paper or leaves. Have you heard
Honey,
of
it's
that?
called sage.
Oh, sage. Okay, sage. So my point is we have sage, evidence of sage. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I want to laugh so hard because you
I
said they roll
know.
it up, and my first thought, it's not marijuana, sweetheart.
Yeah. The point is, okay, so they burned sage and had candles. They're young girls. They're naive. One of them just never, it's her first apartment since moving out of her parents' home.
Uh-huh.
My question to you is, they did
Sage is
sign
supposed to cleanse the spirits that might be there,
right.
just so you know. Okay.
Okay, I'm glad I learned that. Okay, my question
Just tell
is,
him this is what I told him. A lady called me once and she said, I have ghosts in my unit. And I said very calmly, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I promise not to charge you for the unauthorized occupants.
That's funny. Okay, maybe she didn't laugh at that though. But
Okay.
so if they're on a 12-month lease, because they signed a lease, is it against the law for us to offer them, if they want to move out, that we could void their lease?
It's not against the law. It's not against the law for you to offer anything along those lines. So basically you're asking him, and this is how I would approach it, if you will. I understand that it seems that you're pretty unhappy living here and maybe this wasn't a good choice for you. So in the event that you decide to vacate within the next 30 days, I'd be more than happy to let you out of your contract.
Okay, fine. Okay, so but
how you word that is within the next 30 days. Because what they'll do is they'll sit there for 6 months or 8 months and then decide they want to go.
Got it.
So you've got to keep it in your terms.
Right. Also, as far as like I said, if we get the mold that says negative mold, do they have the right to continue to harass us and say to do more I don't know. They're not stopping. They're claiming they
Okay,
have friends.
stop. Let me just say
Okay.
this. You sent a restoration company out there that said there was no visible mold.
Yes.
And now they're
100%.
doing an air test. Okay.
Yes. Right. Right.
If that also comes back negative, and mind
Right.
you, an air test indoors and outdoors, and I learned this through my mold training, can be entirely different based on the weather. Okay.
Right.
Example,
Okay.
we have a whole bunch of rain clouds coming in. Guess what? We got a bunch of wind blowing. It's blowing those mold parcels so fast that it probably
Yeah.
isn't even going to register. So
Right.
those air mold tests are very risky of what they say and what they don't say.
Okay.
So in my
Oh.
opinion, those are your records, not the tenant's records.
Oh, so we don't give it to them. We just say it's negative or not negative, right?
Bingo, right on the nose. Because you don't want to
Okay.
hand them your evidence. That's a bad
No.
idea.
Okay.
So
Right.
just let them know.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the mold test came back negative. I don't know why you're ill. Maybe you want to move. I want to
Yeah.
resolve this.
Yeah.
I want to
Okay.
help
Got it.
you.
I
Okay.
want to help
Just
you.
play
Okay.
super nice. How can we
Right.
resolve this? I'll let you out of your contract. The
Right.
reality is, what are they complaining about? Is somebody sick? Are they on a ventilator? I mean, help me.
They both have what do you call it? I'm sorry, my brain's not working. Where you have to
Allergies,
more than that. What do you have it when you have to inhaler? They have is it not
asthma,
asthma? Yeah, asthma.
asthma.
And then they saw smoke. They saw on the mini blinds, the mini blinds, there was
Uh-huh.
I was in there, very slight, uneven pattern of like black soot. I mean, it was little black soot that was on sticking on the white mini blinds. Very thin, by the way. Not they're claiming that's mold. I know it's not mold. Anyway, the point is,
Did the restoration company say it wasn't mold? Because quite
yes,
frankly, Sarita, we're
right.
not mold certified. Nobody gives a
No,
crap what we
they said
think.
it's
So
they
I got you.
no
So the professional said that is not mold.
right. He said it.
That's what
The
I needed.
professional.
Bingo. Good
Right.
job. Okay.
Okay. So my point is, but if they continue to say their health is being affected because they're asthmatic and they don't know what to, let's see what happens. I guess I should
Well,
ask
I
you
don't mean
when.
to be an ass, but did they just relocate here to a beach community and they weren't used to the morning fog and the higher?
Yes, yes,
That's what happened, right?
yes,
Tell
a
me
hundred
that's what
percent.
happened.
That's
They're
what
not
happened. They're
used to
from,
the
they're not
humidity
used,
of the beach.
right, exactly.
I get it. I've lived at the beach most of my life, so I
Hmm.
understand. And now I'm in the desert, so talk about opposites. But
Hmm.
you may want to bring that to their attention. Is you may not be familiar with living on the beach. Yes, it is beautiful, but most of the time it's in fog.
It is. I
I
know.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
what did
Okay.
my dad used to say?
That's,
Low
yeah.
clouds across the coast, little change in temperature. I mean,
I,
that's usually what happens.
right.
Low clouds
Well,
across the coast, little change in temperature.
anyway, I'll let you know the next time I talk to you what we end up doing
Okay,
because
no
it's
problem, no
all right.
problem.
Thank you. I don't want to take up more time. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay, I got
Okay.
another question from Jackie. It says, Patty, so to document they're not paying the 25% of rent due is just to resend a reminder note? No. Hold on. I think you're missing me here. If they return the declaration saying that they were affected by COVID, 25% of the rent does become due, but it's not due until January 31st of next year. So that's part everybody's missing. The rent isn't due yet. Everybody got that? It's not due until January of next year. All they have to do is say, I've been affected by COVID.
Okay.
You getting that? I know you may not like, don't shoot the messenger, okay? But I'm being very realistic with you. Just document. If they pay towards it, remember, it's due on or before. This would be before January 31st. So if they're paying ahead of time, take that money, get it. But technically, it's not due until January 31st of next year.
Okay, Patty, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Okay, so to me, this ruling is a bunch of BS because
Honey,
people
it's
are gonna.
bullshit and bureaucracy at its finest.
So people are just gonna let the balance roll over and come. the end of January, they're not going to have money to pay. So then we
And
have
then the balance is due the next day on February 1st. So mark my words, they will make an amendment to that law, because how does
yes,
that benefit a tenant? It doesn't. And we're in California, everything benefits the tenant. So my opinion is, when Governor Newsom made this law back in September, he just threw a Band-Aid on it. That's what he did. He said, this is how it's going to be for everybody until this date. He
right.
threw a Band-Aid at it. What he didn't pay attention to, and lawmakers do this a lot, is they don't do much forward thinking. So all of it's due, or 25% is due on January 31st, and then the bill expires the next day. When the bill expires, the balance becomes due.
So don't ask, don't tell.
My theory is shoot them. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Don't do that. Although you'll just get a ticket because they're on a no arrest hold at the sheriff's department. I'm just kidding.
Right, okay.
Document it with the 15-day notice to pay rent or quit, and the disclosure, and also the declaration. That's what you're required to do. That's the new process and procedure. Document, document, document. If they don't send you back the declaration, then you have to decide, am I going to serve a 3-day notice to quit and start legal and hope and pray they don't show up in court? Or you get where I'm coming from? For me, I don't want to touch it. It's too risky with that 50-50 shot. I'm documenting the money. I'm documenting everything like I'm supposed to on a monthly basis. I send them a new 15-day notice every month on my tenants that aren't paying the rent, and I'm not bugging them. I'm not saying anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm remaining I did contact them recently and ask them if they had any repairs, because I hadn't heard from them regarding repairs to their property. My concern is, and this should be a concern for all of you, especially the tenant that you don't have communication with that isn't paying you at all, be concerned, because once they do owe the rent, chances are that's when they're going to scream about all those habitability issues that they've had the whole time and try to play the I don't owe the rent card until you do the repairs. So I'm trying to get in front of that by asking them, hey, haven't heard from you for a while. And I don't mention the rent at all. Don't mention the rent. That's not why you're talking to them. Don't bring it up. Hey, I haven't heard from you in a while regarding any maintenance or repairs on the property. Is there anything that you wanted to bring to my attention? Is there anything I need to know about? If they say no, say, okay, no problem. It is almost time to do a routine preventative maintenance inspection. So just wanted to let you know that you may be seeing notice for that in the future. Leave it at that. If I'm trying to get them out right now, I am serving a 24-hour notice to enter and going in there and seeing what material breaches of the lease contract do I have. Have they made modifications to the property without written consent of the landlord? And I always use these as an example, but hear me out. What do we all do the first day we move into a new place? We all do it. We change the locks because we don't know who has a key. Whether we bought it or we're renting it, that's what we do. We're human, right? Got to protect ourselves. Well, just for the record, everybody does that. Everybody. It's common sense, right? Move into a new place, change the locks. The problem is if you have a provision in your rental contract that says that they cannot make modifications to the property without written consent of the landlord, they're now in violation of their rental agreement, and this could be cause for eviction. Also, mounting a flat screen TV on the wall. That would be a modification to the property. Painting. Okay, changing things out without telling you about it. So getting in there and finding out what's going on and doing your preventative maintenance inspection will tell you a lot. You might hear about unauthorized pets, unauthorized occupants, damages to the unit, trash and debris, cleanliness. Should I keep going, or you guys know the terms of your rental contract, right? So we can still do a 3-day curable breach of covenant. We can still do a 3-day quit notice. The 15-day curable breach of covenant is for monetary issues. So if you have a late fee, and mind you, we could start charging late fees again in September. So March through August, no late fees. September forward, we can charge late fees. So late fees, broken windows that you had repaired and you're billing back to the tenant, utilities, things like that have to go on a 15-day notice, curable breach of covenant. Okay, if it has to do with money, they get 15 days. If it has nothing to do with money, they get 3. See how that worked?
Okay, so this was the main point that I missed, is that if they do not pay the 25%, then you as landlord deliver a 15-day notice to pay the 25%. And then the next month you do the same.
No, that is incorrect.
Because I already got the declaration back. I'd already
The
delivered.
declaration says that they were affected by COVID. So now they owe only 25% of the rent, and that 25% of the rent is due on or before January 31st of next year.
Okay.
You with me?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we only had that one time to deliver a 15-day notice with the
You can deliver
declaration.
one right now for December's rent.
The 25% that's due.
No, the full rent amount is due. Once they
Okay.
say they have COVID, you're done.
Okay,
They
so
have to pay you 25% of that rent money on or before January 31st of next year when it's due.
so the first month the 25% started was September.
That's correct. But
So
hear me out. If they sign the declaration saying that I was affected by COVID,
right.
then they don't owe the whole rent right now. They
Yep.
owe 25% of it, and that 25% payment is not due until January 31st of next year.
That's why they do not get a 15-day notice to pay.
No, they get a 15-day notice.
To pay.
AB 3088 rewrote the rules right now. So here we are at December 1st. Okay, actually we're at the 3rd. Your rent was due on the 1st, so technically they're delinquent. So today we're going to serve them a 15-day notice, and we can put November's rent on there, September's rent on there, and
Okay.
December. Okay, so September, October, November, December can go on the same notice.
Okay.
And their tenant relief act. So you're giving them the disclosure, telling them what their rights are, and you're giving them the declaration to say whether or not they were affected. We've all been affected. Okay. It's a matter of argument of who got affected more and how they were affected. Who cares? It's a big word.
To me, that's a reminder notice. But
What is the
okay,
reminder
the
notice?
15-day notice.
Okay, AB 3088 rewrote the law and said that landlords cannot serve a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit right now for residential dwellings, period, across the state. It must be a 15-day notice. They're about ready to take away our 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. They've been trying to do it for 2 years. I think COVID became the excuse.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked, and this is me just communicating with you guys, if when this is all said and done, that 3-day notices are a thing of the past as far as rent collection goes, and it's going to convert over to a 15-day. They've been trying to do it for a couple years now.
Yeah.
So far we've beat them, but not with this one.
So, okay, I get the message.
Okay,
It wasn't
rent's
that
not
clear.
due yet. I got you.
Wasn't clear.
If you read the Tenant Protection Act, it clearly states to the tenant they don't owe 25% of the rent until the end of January.
So then they could say, well, why are you giving me this 15-day notice?
Because again, this is a new month, and I don't know if you've been affected by COVID or not. We have a new month, new rents due.
So they should be doing a COVID declaration every month.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And if they don't, and this is me telling you the process, you can then serve a 3-day notice to quit, and on day 4 start an eviction. They can then show up in court and say, I've been affected by COVID, and most likely the judge will dismiss your case because 25% of the rent isn't even due until next year.
Okay.
So it's just too risky for me. So what I'm telling you guys, what I would do if it were me, and it is me because I am doing this, is I'm documenting the rent. I'm putting all my ducks in a row. In the event that I have a problem where I have to get somebody out, I'm going in there. What are you doing wrong? If I can find all kinds of violations, then I'm 3-day curable breach of covenant, 3-day quit, 24-hour notice to reinspect, 3-day quit behind it. You know, I'm going after the drama, not the money, if you will. Okay. In the event that I go to the property and everything's fine, I mean, come on, they live there. There's a little bit of trash and debris and a little bit of a mess, but have you looked in your house lately? I'm just saying. If they're living there and they're genuinely just living there and it's not a pigsty and there's not a bunch of blatant damages, buckle up. There's nothing we can do. It makes it extremely difficult. Extremely. Okay, hold on. I got another question here. Patty, with the stay-in-home order in place, we cannot renew. Can we not renew a 1-year lease and ask for the house back for the owner to move in? Home is single family. Here's where you get in trouble. As soon as you say LA County. LA County is on a no eviction moratorium until January 31st of next year. They just extended it. If an owner's moving back into the property, I believe you can do a 60-day notice with cause that the owner's moving back in. But I don't know that you can even serve that notice until after the order of after the no eviction moratorium is lifted. I can turn and ask my legal counsel. I have no problem with that. I'd love to do that for you guys. Personally, I wouldn't do it. The last time I read the moratorium, it read that a landlord cannot even endeavor to evict. What does that mean in English? Don't even think about it. That's what that means. Okay. In LA County. I know at Fast Eviction Service, there's a lot of cases that are sitting in there on hold that says hold until LA City moratorium is lifted, LA County moratorium is lifted, so they can serve those notices to terminate tenancy. As far as a new 1-year lease goes, if you're re-signing a new 1-year contract and it's like terms, meaning you haven't changed the rent on there, you haven't changed a bunch of stuff and made it ridiculous so that they don't want to sign it because it's not like terms. If it's like terms and they refusing to sign for 1 more year, that's a reason you can terminate tenancy. So to give you the answer to your question, you can terminate tenancy based on AB 1482 for ending tenancy with cause. Okay, that's under the Statewide Rent Control Act. So those are reasons you could do major renovations, permits pulled, houses in escrow, selling. It's just extremely difficult right now with LA County having the no eviction moratorium, and for them to put in there, landlord cannot even endeavor to evict. Endeavor to evict. It means don't even think about it. If you serve the notice before it expires, the moratorium, then you thought about it, right? So basically you can't do that. I hope that answered your question, and I know it's not good news. You can have a conversation with the tenant. Oh, I'm really sorry. You know, my mom needs to move in here. She's getting older. This has nothing to do with you. I'll give you a good reference. You can try manipulating and pulling the system as much as you can, but there's no teeth there. So don't threaten. And if you don't get out, I'm going to evict you, because you can't. Okay. Try to keep that balance right. Try to talk to them, have a conversation with them, remind yourself that they're human just like you are, and they get it to some extent. But keeping that balance is what this is all about. And I can't say that enough. I can't teach that enough. I had a tenant that called me back in May, my tenant, and said, I just wanted to let you know that me and my husband has COVID and my husband's in the hospital and we can't pay the rent this month. And immediately I went, oh God, but that's not what came out of my mouth. I said, oh, I'm so sorry this has happened to you, honey. Please keep me posted as to what's going on. And as you can pay rent, pay what you can. That way you don't get too far behind, because once you get behind, it's so hard to catch back up again. And that goes for any of us. Did I say anything wrong to her? No. Did I promise her anything? No. I even told her, you know what I'm going to do to help you? I'm going to waive the late fee. You know why I said that? Because I can't charge late fees. Not back in May. So it was just my way of keeping that balance right. Because now she goes, oh, she's not even going to charge me a late fee. She's awesome. No, I'm just following the law. But I made it sound like I was awesome. So just another way to keep that balance right. Once you have that balance where that balance is right and your tenant's working with you and you guys are making a team, you're running a good business. When that balance gets out of whack, sometimes the only way you can get it back is through eviction and the legal process. And that costs the most in this business. It's the two things that are most expensive. One is time and the other one is money. And it takes both. Hold on, we got another question. Can we self the house and ask for the house back? Absolutely. Once the house is in escrow, you can do a 30-day notice to terminate tenancy based on escrow. You're welcome. That would be the one loophole you have. I didn't tell you that. Reading all of this and going over it over and over and over again, escrow seems to be the saving grace. So in the event that you're selling, once you're in escrow, you can serve that 30-day notice to terminate tenancy because of escrow. Okay.
It doesn't matter how many units are involved.
No, if you're in escrow and you're selling, you're selling. If you need to clear the building, then you clear the building.
Okay. Patty, I have two questions.
Yes, I like chocolate. And no, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. Look, Patty, if the two tenants that are going to court for a breach of contract, can they bring a habitability issue because it's not money related? If there is a breach of contract and that's the cause of eviction, can they still defend themselves by bringing up habitability issue?
Absolutely. They can use anything they want to defend themselves as long as it's in their answer. The brass tacks comes down to who caused the habitability issue and why are you in a material breach of your lease? In other words, let me give you an example. Let's say that you're evicting for unauthorized occupants, which would be a material breach of the lease. And your tenant says that there's a habitability issue there because the drains are backing up. Well, you want to evict them because they have 15 people living in a 2-bedroom house. Of course, the drains are backing up. They're being overused. See how that worked? Does that make sense to you? So when you can tie in their habitability complaint to their other issue and pin it back on them, it makes it easy.
Okay.
Most likely, and I'm being honest with you, because there could be error on both sides. If you try to go in with a 24-hour notice and fix those habitability issues and they don't let you in, how could you possibly provide habitable premises, Your Honor, when they won't allow me into the property? See how that worked?
Okay, I got that.
You can't do your job if they won't let you in. If they let you in, fix it. You're going to have to fix it anyway. Just fix it and then continue on with the case. That way, when they scream that, oh, this was uninhabitable. Yes, Your Honor, and here's the plumbing bill. It was fixed on this day at this time.
Okay, my next question, Patty.
Yes.
September, October, November.
Yes, sir.
I have some tenants that are paying off and on, and I decided only to give them reminders notice instead of the big 15-day notice with COVID declaration. So my question is that if they one day stop paying, let's say starting this month, stop paying, can I go ahead and put all those months that they have fallen behind into one 15-day notice and say, this is how much you pay for September, October, November, and then give them also the COVID declaration and all of that. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, now what
Now,
happens?
wait.
Go ahead.
If they return that declaration to you saying they were affected by COVID, they don't owe any of that money until January 31st of next year.
Okay, now my question is, if you just keep on giving them reminders notice, comes January 31st, is that gonna be all forgiven? I have to go back to small claim court to get that money, or in February, they still owe that money in eviction court?
You're asking me a double loaded question, okay? And I'll explain to you why I think it's double loaded. Technically, the way everything sits right now, in January, on February 2nd, you could serve a 15-day notice to pay rent or quit for all the monies they owe and start the legal process. The reality is the way that they wrote that law, throwing the Band-Aid on it, saying 25% is due on or before January 31st, and the balance is due the very next day. I know for a fact that because that doesn't benefit a tenant and all that money becomes due the very next day, that they're most likely going to amend that law or extend that law or change that law somehow.
Okay, so what would you do if you were in my place? Would you go ahead and give them the
I'd serve the 15-day notice and the declaration every month so that when it got to the point where it was time for me to start the legal action, all of my ducks would already be in a row. I wouldn't have to wait 15 more days for a notice to expire, then 3 more days to do the quit behind it. I'd have everything in a row and I'd be ready to rock and roll.
Okay, past 3 months, I've given only reminders notice. So I could still catch up with those 3 months that have been missed, basically, that I haven't done that, right?
Absolutely. Just remember this, if they've made you any kind of payment for any of those months, it needs to reflect on that 3-day. Don't ask for money you've already received.
Of course. Thank you, Pat.
Okay, so let me take this one step further. You could wait till January 3rd after the rent is due, okay? And serve one 15-day notice for September, October, November, December, and January at that point, and do another 15-day notice for your late fees for September, October, November, December, January, any utilities or other monies they owe on a 15-day covenant notice, serve them both at the same time with all your declarations. Therefore, on January 31st, when that 25% of the rent is due, all of your ducks are in a row. You're ready to rock and roll.
Well, I'd be safe to wait till January then to do all that, right?
Absolutely. You can go back 1 year only on a notice to pay rent or quit.
Great, thank
You can
you.
only go back 1 year. And just so you understand the way that they wrote 3088 is any monies owed from March through August, we can never evict for, only sue in small claims, and not until March of next year. And they removed the cap amount because of COVID. So it used to be $5,000 if you're a business, $10,000 if you're an individual in order to sue someone in small claims. That was a maximum you could ask for. They have removed that maximum amount for COVID rents because some people's rent is $3,000 a month. We're going to crack that in like that. You know what I mean? So they removed that cap amount for small claims for COVID, but you can't even file that until March.
Okay.
Okay. But for me, I want to have my ducks in a line so that when it's time, I'm ready to rock.
Okay, we'll do it in
And
January.
if I have a serious problem where I need somebody out of a house where they're causing a ruckus and they're not paying me, remember, non-payment is the hard way to go right now. And going after cause, where you're seeing what's going on inside the unit, the damages they're causing, if that's there and that's going on, that's where I'd sink my teeth in and that's where I'd bite down, because that's going to have more pull right now than the money. If you go there and the house is perfect, buckle up. There's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do, but you're along for the ride. And the tenant's not driving and you're not driving. COVID-19 is.
Thank you, Patty.
No problem. Anytime. I saw some more questions come in. Let me answer them. It's really cold in this office that I'm sitting in, you guys. So if I get cold chills all the time, that's me, because I didn't grab my jacket before I came in here. So we can sell the house and ask for the house back. Yes, you can. However, and I see your questions, okay? I'm going to ask you another question, Diana. What city is the property located in? Because I kind of need to know that so that I can help you. And if you want to send me a message, oh, you're in LA County. Okay, perfect. In order to serve the tenant, Palmdale, got you. In order to serve the tenant a notice, you have to have escrow open. Okay, makes sense? You have to have escrow open. So I'm a real estate broker, but I don't practice real estate transactions. I know everybody's going to laugh at me when I say this. I actually hire an agent to represent me when I'm selling or buying my own investment properties, because I don't deal with that every day. They do. I don't. I deal strictly with property management. That's where my area of expertise is. And I learned a long time ago, don't play on the other side of the fence if you're not sure what you're doing. So if it were me and I had a tenant in Palmdale and I wanted to sell the property, the first thing I would do would be to hire an agent. If you need a referral to that, I'd be more than happy to give you one. Just give me a call. 855-WIDGET5 is my phone number. Shoot me out an email. You can even text me at that number. I can refer you to an agent in that area that handles that area that can help you. And once you have an agent, they can also help you serve the notices to your tenant. Okay, so your real estate agent can serve that 30-day notice to your tenant, but not until escrow opens. Escrow is the key here. And if it falls out of escrow, then your notice dies. If it goes through and closes escrow, hey, great, but you got to go that route. But escrow seems to be the only way that I've heard with all the attorneys talking that you have a chance to get an eviction right now, or you can even ask them to leave right now in LA County. Ouch. I know a lot of people are serving notices and playing nice with the tenant, and the tenants are moving out. That notice doesn't have any teeth and you can't do anything with it. So you got to be careful. You don't want to go, yeah, you got to get out, because you're wrong. And now you look really not educated in your own industry. So it doesn't make you look good when you go there pounding your fist telling them to get out. Okay, you need to take a whole nother approach of, hey, just wanted to let you know I need to sell, has nothing to do with you. You guys have been great tenants, even if they're jerks. I have no problem giving you a good reference. You play nice, okay? Because your goal is to get them out without having to do the legal process. I don't like the legal process. Shh. I hate it. I call it the just us system, not justice, just us. Because right now it feels like it is just us trying to figure this out. We're not getting much help from the hands that be. Okay. So if we start as normal and they have to let buyers in to see the house, yes, that would be a 24-hour notice to enter to show it to some prospective purchasers. If they fail to allow entry, you can then serve them a 3-day curable breach of covenant that they didn't allow entry, and a new 24-hour notice to come in on the 3rd day. If they still don't allow entry, I would do that process one more time, especially in LA County. And then I'd call your legal counsel and ask them how many times you want them to serve a curable before you do the quit. Some places are one and done. I'll give you an example. Victorville. Victorville is usually one and done, meaning you didn't let me in. I'm serving you a 3-day curable breach of covenant. I'm serving you also a 24-hour notice. I'm coming in there on the 3rd day. And if they don't let me in on the 3rd day, I'm now going back there and serving them a 3-day notice to get out, because you're in violation not only of your written rental contract, but also the law. In LA, you may want to do that curable part a couple more times, and your attorney can tell you how many. I can't. And the reason I say that is I'm not in court every day. That is not my area of expertise. I don't know what flies there and what doesn't fly there. All I do is hear what the attorneys talk about. So I can go ask how many you need in Palmdale to do a curable breach of covenant before you do that quit notice, because you do have to give a little bit more time in some areas, depending on how those courts are. Are they a pro-tenant court? Are they a pro-landlord court? Or are they a pro-law court? So far, what I've seen in LA County, it's all pro-tenant. So we want to give them more than one opportunity to cure the breach before we actually tell them it's incurable. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. If it doesn't, you guys yell at me. Okay. I'll break it down even simpler. Okay. Sometimes I realize I get on a rant and you guys are like, what is she talking about? And then I wonder, yeah, what am I talking about? But yeah, I'd be more than happy to give you a referral in the Palmdale area. Just so you guys all know, I know somebody almost everywhere, whether it be a property manager, another real estate broker, a sales agent, and I'd be more than happy to connect you with whoever you need to be connected with. Vendors, I know quite a few of them. Roofers, restoration companies. I can tell you most importantly who not to use, which sometimes is better than who to use. So keep that in mind too. When you have a problem or you have an issue, call me. I have no problem helping you. That's why I'm here. I want to see you guys successfully manage your investments and stay out of litigation, because litigation is expensive. No joke. I don't like court unless I'm the one suing. So I try to stay out of there myself. And in the past 30 years, I've learned a lot about this industry, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah. Any more questions for me? Because I don't want to hold up your guys' whole lunch hour. I know you guys need to eat, but I'm here to help you. If you have questions, you need to answer things, you need a referral, you need somebody call me today. I need a plumber in Rialto. I'm like, okay, here you go. Call this guy. He's great. He'll even testify in court for you. I can go a step further and tell you guys, when you are using vendors in your property, please make sure that they're licensed and insured. Okay. If you're a management company, you want to make sure that you're listed as an additional insured or interested party on that vendor's policy. Let me give you an example. You hire Frank Smith, the roofer, to do a roof job on one of your homeowner's properties. You're the property manager. Frank Smith goes there and does the job. 6 months later, it rains, and it rains in the house. And you send a different roofer over there to go look to see what happened, because you just had this roof replaced, and he informs you that it was done incorrectly. If you're listed as additional insured or interested party on the policy, you can actually initiate the insurance claim. In other words, you're going to call Frank Smith's insurance company and say, hi, I'm listed as an additional insured or interested party, and I need to file a claim on this property because he didn't do his job properly. So you're now opening that insurance claim and getting that going. That's how it protects you, okay? Because even though you hired him, so you want to make sure that you're correcting the situation, fixing it right away. I won't use anybody that isn't licensed or insured. And I always make sure that I'm listed as an additional insured or interested party on their policy, on 3 people's policies. On all of my tenants, I want to be listed as additional insured or interested party. What the interested party does is you're going to get a letter if they don't make their payment and they're about to get canceled. Okay. I do that for all my tenants. I do that for all my landlords, my homeowners. You know why? A lot of us as owners change insurance carriers or do something weird. We do. Hey, it happens. And we don't realize that there's going to be a lapse in our insurance. But as an interested party, you're also going to get that letter. You're also going to get notified. So if your tenant leaves or your homeowner leaves on vacation and you get a letter saying your insurance policy is going to be canceled for non-payment, you can then call them and say, hey, I'm going to pay this out of your funds. You forgot to pay your bill. See how that worked? So in other words, you're just helping them keep their investment on the up and up. Makes sense? And then I require that my vendors have me listed as additional insured or interested party for the same reason. I don't want to send a plumber over to Joe Blow's house if the plumber doesn't have insurance. And the only way I'm going to know that their insurance policy got canceled is if I'm listed as an interested party. I hope that answered all your questions regarding insurance and why. It's usually a whole class I teach, so bear with me. Can we call in? Wait. Can we call and add ourselves to the policy, or would the vendor have to call? You can't just call and add yourself to a policy. It would be very similar, and then I'll take your question, sir. It would be very similar to me going, let me call and add myself to April's insurance policy on her rentals policy, and then I'm going to turn around and file a claim. So no, the actual insured has to add you, but once they add you, you're in there. Okay. Hope that answered your question. I heard a, hey, Patty, what do you got?
Yeah. How do you deal with like the small like handyman type of like repairs? Like this needs to get fixed. That like small things.
What do you mean? How do I deal with it?
Like a lot of the contractors I know don't want to touch small things, and if you can give me a referral form, kind of that'd be great too.
What
Like
city?
this, Costa Mesa, Irvine.
Okay. So do this and you can thank me later.
Uh-huh.
And you need to know something. Okay.
Huh? Yep.
Handyman can't do a job for more than $500.
Yep, I understand that.
$500 or more. If it's $500 or more, it requires a licensed state B contractor.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So Google in your area for handyman. Make sure that they have a business license and that they're insured and you are listed as additional insured or interested party on their policy. Yes, it's going to cost them $1,500 a year to have this insurance, give or take. Okay. But you're going to give them a hell of a lot more than $1,500 worth of work because you now don't have to pay a licensed state B contractor. You're paying a handyman to do the little things and you're going to give him a lot of little things. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember at the time I was managing about 3,500 doors and I had 3 handyman and they all made over $100,000 a year. None of their jobs were over $500, but they had so much work to do. It was go over here, install a ceiling fan, go over there, sand down the cutting board, go over here and put new guts in the toilet. I mean, you don't always have to hire a plumber to do something. It could be a handyman, but you just want to make sure that you are listed on their insurance.
Okay.
Because that's what helps protect you if the handyman screws up.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Okay. Because God knows, just for the record, we're all human and we all make mistakes. Okay. But it's how we correct those mistakes that make us different from everyone else.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Okay. I saw some more stuff come through. Hold on. Margot Ann. I have a legacy tenant that is the only one left in the unit. There were initially a family of 4 that moved in 1990. The one adult son left wants a new lease. This is in the city of LA and we don't want to give him a new lease. I got questions, but just let me put this in perspective. Why don't you want to give him a new lease? That becomes my question. Because if you give him a new contract in LA City with like or similar terms, and he doesn't sign for a year, you can evict him in LA City. Not right now because of the COVID thing, but technically you could evict him with cause and not owe relocation fees. Why don't you want to give him a new contract? Is he a jerk? I mean, you tell me what's going on. Did he move a bunch of people in? Because if that's the case, we're going to have a whole different conversation. 10% for each unauthorized occupant, but not right now. After the COVID goes away. So give me a little bit more information there so I can give you back a little bit more information. Sorry, you guys, and April will contest to this. Every time you ask me a question, I ask you 30 questions before I give you an answer. And it's just my way of making sure I'm giving you guys proper instruction and pointing you down the right road. I don't want to send you the wrong way on the freeway. Trust me. I don't like that. So usually when you ask me a question, I'll ask you 3 questions before I give you an answer. And it's just because I want to do the best that I possibly can for you. And I want to make sure that I'm really understanding your question. And if I ever give you an answer and you're like, huh? Tell me, I don't understand what you mean. Talk to me, tell me about it. Let's dig deep and get in those rabbit holes, because that's one of the reasons why I'm here. I want to help you manage your investment to the best of your ability. And the only way I can do that is if I fully understand what you're asking me. So sometimes I may say, ask me that again, but in a different way. And I do that when you say, Patty, I need your legal advice. I can't give you legal advice. I can give you my professional opinion, but I don't give legal advice. I'm not an attorney. I do know some, I can get them if we need them, but I don't do that. He's a jerk. Thank you, Margot. Needed to know that. Did he move in unauthorized additional occupants? Let's have a conversation about this. Feel free to call me. My number is 855 Widget. That's WIDGET. And then the number 5 one more time. I get that he's a jerk, but if he's in a 4-bedroom house, why does he need a 4-bedroom house if it's just him? Did he move in other people? Is there other issues going on? I get that he's a jerk and you don't want to rent to him anymore. But usually when we get to the point where they're a jerk and we don't want to rent to them anymore, we sure the hell don't want to have to pay them relocation fees to get out either. So with that being said, I want to know more details of how and why he's being a jerk. Because if it's extensive enough, we could evict him based on the fact that he's a nuisance. Okay. So you have some teeth in there, just not right now because of COVID and the non-eviction, blah, blah, but it depends on what he's doing. Does that make sense to you? I had a tenant, God love this. They tell me, oh, we had a little bit of a problem over at the property. And I'm like, okay, what's the problem? She goes, well, one of my husband's friends came over and I don't know if he was drunk or something was going on, but he was pulling pages out of the phone book, lighting them on fire and throwing them on the carpet. And you let him? She's all, yeah, but we're not responsible for that because we didn't do it. My husband's friend did it. No, that makes you responsible, but people do weird things. They say weird things. I get it. Humans are crazy. Yes, definitely, Margot. Call me. Let's talk about it. Because if there's some underlying issues I'm not catching right here, I'm not going to point you down the right way. And I'd rather have a one-on-one with you just so I fully understand what's going on so that I could put you in the right direction on the right road. Anybody have anything else for me, or I'm going to call this a day. And then I'll be back next Wednesday all the way through. I think I'm going to avoid Christmas. So I haven't looked at a calendar. I couldn't even tell you what day the 25th is on, but I think we're going to be really tight through December, very tight through January. My anticipation is we're going to see some new legislation come out by the end of January or close to the end of January. And I got a feeling we're going to go back on lockdown here real quick. You've got a parking question. Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay, so I manage a fourplex in Downey, and one of the tenants is moving out, and for some reason, I just took over management. He has the only extra parking spot, and then I got a call this morning from another tenant saying, hey, I want that spot. And she's all saying that it's not fair. I'm thinking there's other 2 tenants that also would want that spot. So
actually, you can do a parking license agreement, not a rental agreement. Did you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And rent that out for additional funds to whoever wants to pay the extra money for the extra spot.
Okay. Okay.
See
So
how that
it doesn't. Yeah. So it doesn't
I'd be
necessarily.
more than happy to
choose.
offer that to any one of you. It's $150 more a month to park there. Would you like to sign the parking license agreement?
Got it. Okay.
It's not a rental agreement. Okay.
Got it.
It's a license. Trust me. Once you call it a rental agreement, then landlord tenant law applies.
Okay. Would that would that be under a normal like apartment association form, or would I have to get a lawyer to kind of write something up?
I can't answer that. I can tell you this. I would be more than happy to have legal counsel look at anything before you implemented it, just to make sure it didn't make you subject to landlord tenant law and stuck with licensing law.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
No problem. And you could incorporate it and make it landlord tenant law because they're already parking there. But if you wanted to rent to somebody that wasn't your tenant, just like Disneyland, that's a license to park there. It's not a rental agreement. So it makes it a little bit easier to enforce when things go badly.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
It's kind of like at Disneyland. You pay them $30, they give you a ticket. Ticket is a license saying you can park there.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's not a rental agreement.
Okay.
So different kind of law kicks in, different kind of everything kicks in. So you have statewide rent control on this triplex, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so watch this, just so you and I are on the same page.
Yeah.
you can only raise your rent 5% plus the CPI on that building, correct?
Correct.
For
Yeah.
your residential tenants.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
doesn't apply to your parking license.
Gotcha. Okay.
You get it? In other
Gotcha.
words, you could raise their parking license $100 every month if you hated them and wanted them to go, and they can't do anything about it. It's
Gotcha.
not a rental agreement.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Appreciate it.
But that's
Thank
a
you so
better
much.
aspect for me, is doing that agreement. And if you get something from the apartment association, send it over to me. I'll have one of the attorneys look at it. No worries.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks, Patty.
Anytime, anytime. Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, Patty, it's Jackie again.
Hi, Jackie.
Okay, a month ago, you said that you raised the rent by $25 for an example, just to let them know, let the tenants know you're on top
I'm
of
in
it.
charge.
Yes, yes.
But
So-
non-COVID. I'm not raising
Okay.
any rents right now because of COVID.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify.
Let me put it this way. And remember, this is part of keeping the balance right, okay?
Right.
The government says they must shelter in place.
Yes.
How can we tell them you have to stay here, because that's what the government's saying, you must shelter in place. You have to stay here, but I'm going to raise the rent this atrocious amount. You need to pay it. Is that fair?
No.
It's unethical. We
Right.
have to be ethical. Even though we don't like it, and it's not fair to us that we can't raise the rent, at the same time, it's also not fair to them. And when I say that, all of the laws benefit them, the tenants, they do. We're a pro-tenant state. The reason that is we're 78% tenant occupied in the state. We are outnumbered. We are the minority. That is why fair housing is very pro-tenant. That's why everybody's very pro-tenant. That's why they made all these pro-tenant advocate groups, was to help protect those tenants. My theory is, if you were to raise the rent right now, okay, and this is me talking to you, and right before, and let's pretend that COVID's going away, okay, it's not getting worse, it's actually getting better and it's going away. And January 31st, they're actually going to completely lift the shelter in place order, meaning the library's going to be open, we're all back to work, everything's functioning like it should be. When that happens, right before then, I have an inkling, and I don't know, I'm blonde, but I have an idea that we're going to hear from the Department of Fair Housing when is a reasonable amount of time to increase rents or terminate tenancy after a global pandemic and it not be considered retaliation. With me?
Right. Yes.
So now if we raise the rent and we've been collecting it at $25 and we collected it for 4 months, and now Fair Housing says you have to wait 6 months after the global pandemic to increase the rent, we're going to have to give the tenant back a rent credit of $100. But what does that make us look like? It makes us look like we don't know what the hell we're doing. We don't want to plant that seed in that tenant's head. We want to be spot on. We know exactly what we're doing. We're the professional in this industry. We're following the rules. We're following Fair Housing's guidelines. We don't want to give them this much of we're clueless. Make sense?
Yes.
Once you plant that seed that you don't know what you were doing, you can't take it away. It's no different from you dealing with somebody else in business. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so as much as and I'm all about the money, girl, because I'm a single mom with 3 kids and I own investment property, okay? I want that money. But more than anything else, I don't want to have to eat crow with my tenant, because once you do that, you are setting the standard for the rest of the tenancy. So my theory is err on the side of caution. When it's okay to raise the rent, that's when we want to implement it, not now. It's not worth the $100, okay? It's just not worth it. It's not worth it, because when you have to go backwards and take increases away, it makes you look bad to them. Like, oh, they charged me, they're crediting me back though, but what, did they not know what they were doing? you know, it starts raising questions, just like if we hire somebody to do a job for us and all of a sudden the price is going and then they're giving us a refund and we're trying to figure out what they were doing. It puts that same question of doubt in your tenant's head. And we don't want that. We want them to come to you and say, they know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing.
Okay, so I could just summarize my last couple years. Well, first I had, my apartment building. I kept the rents low, never raised them very much. And then I raised them about 30% because get on the ball. And then I had to go back and give them money back because it was that time frame. So now here I am below market rents and COVID, and it could get worse. So that's all I was
I'm
looking
squeezing
at.
my cheeks with you.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
squeezing them with you because I feel
Okay.
you. You're trying to do the nice thing. You're trying to do the right thing. But the reality of this is stop trying to be nice. This is business. This is no different than you being a mortgage company and dealing with a landlord.
right.
Okay.
Okay,
So when you think about it that way, that this is a business and everybody to you in business isn't nice.
right.
You don't need to be nice. You need to be business professional, but you don't need to be nice. Make sense?
Yes,
Okay. And I feel you. I feel you. You have how many units at the property you said?
I have 8 units and
So you're under the statewide rent control initiative,
yeah,
I'm assuming?
Long Beach, yeah,
Oh, God.
yes.
Yeah,
So,
so if you have tenants that aren't getting out, not paying the rent right now, cash for keys is always an option. I know it's a really hard pill to swallow. Okay. People are like, what do you mean? Pay them to get out? They haven't paid me in 6 months. I know. And how many more months is it going to take them before you get your unit back? Another 6 months? How much is that going to cost you? How long can you hold on? So sometimes paying them cash for keys sounds ridiculously stupid, but when you really stop and think about it, it makes more sense because you're stopping the bleeding right now.
right. And I do have another building that I have a property management company taking care of. And the woman that has been there 15 years, so she's quite entitled.
Oh, yes.
And so quite entitled. So we're going to either have to evict her or cash for keys. Well, we're going to evict her because that's where our peace of mind or our satisfaction will be, we believe, my husband and I. But, that could always backfire.
It can, and I would start with, rather than going after the money, when's the last time you did an interior inspection of the unit?
Oh, a few months back, and the property manager does.
Okay, and was she in violations of any of the terms of a written rental agreement?
Not really, but we could start to take her garage away. It's an amenity.
Hold on. Does
Yeah,
her rental agreement say that it includes the garage?
I'm gonna double check.
You want to be very careful with that because if you then take something away that she's had all this time, it could be considered bait and switch and it would make you susceptible to a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I get that you're
Yes.
frustrated. I get that you're pissed. I get it. Believe me, I get it. I'm there too in some of my properties. I understand. But we need, even though we're angry, even though we're frustrated, even though we're pissed off, we have to be very careful that we don't act on emotions because it's emotions that end up costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawsuits.
Right. And time.
Time and money, two most expensive things in our business, time and money. Right?
Yes.
So you want to be really careful how you proceed. One of the ways, and I'm trying to be careful that I don't come off as giving you legal advice. So in my best professional opinion, if I have a tenant that is causing me grief and problems, the first thing I want to do is go get into that unit. And I'm looking for modifications to the property without written consent of the landlord. I'm looking to see if they painted, if they installed a big screen TV, a Ring doorbell, a video camera system. Those are things that are material breaches of the lease. Okay.
But they
So-
sound petty. They sound
Yeah.
petty when it comes down to it. It's
But
kind of,
hold on. But when
okay.
you get in a courtroom in front of a judge, those are material breaches of the lease contract, Your Honor. You're not asking for the money. So all those COVID protections go away. Does
Okay.
that make sense? Because you're not asking for the money. So if your issue is unauthorized occupants, modifications to the property, they installed a Ring doorbell, they have a video camera system that could be spying on other residents, they painted inside their unit, they damaged their flooring. Now do you see where I'm coming from? They changed their locks so the landlord come in, and now they're refusing to allow entry. So it's not one or two petty things, it's a laundry list of everything they're doing wrong, and these are all part of their rental agreement.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
And like I tell people all the time, if you get there and you don't have all of that stuff going on, buckle up. It's going to be a ride. It really is. We're going to see who's going to win this first. Is it going to be the bank or is it going to be you? In other words, can you evict before they can foreclose? It's going to be a ride, folks. And I would rather have you prepare for the worst, brace for impact, hope for the best by all means. But if I prepare you for the worst and the worst happens, at least you were prepared for it, is what I'm trying to put in your guys' heads. If they don't extend this, which quite frankly, I don't see how they're not going to put us on lockdown again. I'm just saying.
Right.
Look at Italy, look at China. China went on lockdown 3 times. It got to the point where they put up wood and bolted people in their doors so they couldn't come out in China. Okay. In Italy, they lost their entire senior community because of COVID. They're on lockdown round 2. We're not any better than them. Even though we have borders, it doesn't stop disease. Okay, just saying. The chances of that happening to us, in my opinion, are high. Why do I say that? Because look at the rest of the planet. We're no better or no worse than anybody in the rest of the planet when it comes to this disease. Will this new vaccination help us? Who knows? How many people want to get shot up with something that might or might not work? God knows what side effects you're going to get. I'm just saying. So for them to say there's a vaccine, well, we're going to be saved. That's pretty ludicrous.
Okay.
Okay, hang in there is all I could tell you. And if you need help, call me by all means. That's why I'm here. Somebody else had a question. I heard it pipe up. Anybody? No? Okay, I'm going to call it a day if nobody has anything else for me. If you guys need anything, you know how to hunt me down. Otherwise, we'll be on here next Wednesday again. I'm sure we'll have new legislation. Remember, today's update, LA County has extended their eviction moratorium. It is no longer ended on November 30th. It is now pushed to January 31st. Could they do this again? Absolutely. So as now, LA County, no eviction moratorium until January 31st of next year. And LA City closed all essential businesses and restaurants. And I got a feeling that that's going to trickle into other counties, if not the entire state, based on what I'm seeing on the map of the nation, if you will, and the new COVID cases that are arising. So with that being said, we may go on lockdown again. Get ready. Keep your work orders ready. I know work orders are down 70% across the board. It's because tenants are home all day and they don't want you there. Let's be honest. But it's something we need to keep an eye on, because once rents do become due, we want to make sure that they can be charged and we're not dealing with a whole bunch of habitability issues. So make sure you're still doing those routine preventative maintenance inspections. That's going to get you in the property, and make sure you don't have any issues that would cause you not to be able to collect the rent. Okay. If anybody has anything else for me, feel free to give me a call, shoot me out an email. we can talk about it and we'll go from there. Other than that, I will see you guys next Wednesday. You guys have a great weekend and be safe.
Okay.
Bye.